Hey everyone, this is Fulton from Lou Air Student Radio. This is my music room for what is February 9th, 2021. Today's a Tuesday, of course. Yeah, and as always, I want to start with a land acknowledgement for Clown, Skagit, Snohomish peoples. I reside, live, just profit off their land, and can live a comfortable life without, worrying about climate change and, I do worry about climate change, but not really, because it doesn't affect my everyday life. Worry about my usual and custom areas, my treaty rights, I don't have to worry about that. And the thing is, these people were just dislodged off their Aboriginal lands, so it's enough of that. So this week, it's been kind of slow again, but I've been getting some new music. My brother bought me a bunch of records in trade for a subwoofer, so you'll be able to see those next week, hopefully. Maybe not. Excuse my father laughing in the background. He's probably cracking a joke. Oh yeah, I just looked. This is my favorite tie-dye that I made recently. It's one of them. So first off, I found this at the thrift store the other day. Called Me Burrows. It's a William S. Burroughs audio kind of spoken word book. It's just excerpts from Naked Lunch, Soft Machine, and Nova Express. Super zany, super wacky. What can you expect from William S. Burroughs and the Beats? But yeah, I don't know if the stuff if can really describe should be said on here. It's more of, you should just listen to it, find out. King Crimson, Absent Lovers. This is a concert recording, live in Montreal, 1984. It's their final concert, the 80s incarnation of, I've said this before, Robert Fripp, Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, and Bill Bruford. From what I've read, according to Sid Smith's, biography, this is by far not their best show, but it shows a very diverse set list of what 80s crim is. So, you have stuff from Red, Lurks, Tungsten Aspic, and then Beat, Discipline, and Three of a Perfect Pair. Which makes it a very well-rounded show. It makes me quite sad that there's no Lark's Tungsten Aspic Part 1. I believe there's shows in the 80s where they play 1, 2, and 3. I'll have to double-check Sid Smith's gig compendium in the back of the biography of Crim. But yeah, a great show. And as they say, and I'll get to this point it's really hard to capture the energy of the live show. And really repurpose it, I guess, into a CD or an album. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, this isn't essential for any King Crimson lover. If you're looking to get into 80s King Crimson, maybe not. I'm grateful that it's the only place where you can go if you want to get into them through live work. That's how I got into them. But not so much King Crimson. They really go out elsewhere, extend, they lay out, they do all that jazz. Up next, I listened to this, Jimi Hendrix live at Woodstock. Certainly not his best concert, certainly not the greatest recorded or sounding concert, but, very important in the canon of music history, live music history at least, and, I guess American culture. It's basically, there's Smoker. There's rhythm guitar and percussion that you can't hear at all. And in the liner notes, it's talking about them being detuned, about the guitars always being out-tuned. But yeah, I don't know, it's nice to listen to a piece of history and just kind of absorb it and be like, oh, this is, important to music history too, and it's a great primary source, even though there are some secondary edits here. A lot of tracks are removed and edited for length, which sucks in my opinion, even if they're just songs by the rhythm guitarist. There's more in the liner notes about that, but it's fun to listen to. It's definitely hard to actually sit down and listen to. I can't have the focus because I'm Where's the percussion? Where's the rhythm guitar? Why is that person out of tune? So it can be quite frustrating. Up next, got this the other day. John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman, some vocal jazz. I'm not super big into vocal jazz, but I saw this and I was like, okay, John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman, J&J, and then I was looking at the other personnel, so McCoy Tyner's on piano, and then Elvin Jones on bass. Elvin Jones on drums. I don't know much of Jimmy Garrison's work on bass, but it's a very great lineup. It's pretty sappy the other night, just sitting in my room at midnight listening to some vocal jazz on a Sunday. But it was really good. Personally, I really like the arrangement of Lush Life on here. I know Lush Life has more of a extended jazz kind of soloing piece, but to hear it rearranged in vocal format was actually really refreshing. And then Dedicated to You was nice. John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman really were able to balance each other out in this album, I think, because you have like the extended Coltrane parts, and then you have Hartman really just giving his all and just being very romantic. It's romantic and melodramatic. It's a great push and pull of tension, I'd say, especially for vocal jazz, because I usually disregard vocal jazz a lot because the lyrics are just boring to me at times, but this has definitely sparked a new interest, and I'll see where I go next. It's just really melodramatic, and I love melodrama, but in music it just kind of makes me a little depressed. Up next, this is great. Oyster Head, The Grand Pecking Order, Trey Anastasio Fish, Les Claypool Primus, of course, and Stuart Copeland of The Police. They don't consider themselves a super group, but great, great album. It's so eclectic, it's really wacky. It's the perfect balance of like jam band and musical creativity and just going for it with actual talent, production, and skill. It's an amazing album. They don't consider themselves a jam band. They just call themselves three guys playing together. It's basically all those bands meet. Not so much Primus, really. If you listen to Les Claypool's solo album, The Holy Mackerel, Highball of the Devil, that's a better representation of Les Claypool that comes into Oyster Head, I think. And then maybe some of his Frog Brigade stuff in late 90s. Look at the Frog Brigade show from 2000. That's kind of a good place to see Les Claypool. This is Les Claypool during a different time in his life. This is him getting into the jams and becoming a member of the jam band community. Great insight. And it's interesting to see Trey Anastasio at what is considered a really low point, personally, because of drug addiction. And then Stuart Copeland's kind of just hanging out. I don't really know much about Stuart Copeland, so I can't really comment on what he brought to the table in this album. But it's just this album, it's concise jams for the studio. If you listen to their live shows, they're insane. And then one thing I need to bring up is that Oyster Head was actually, they're slated to tour some more, I guess, last year, but COVID kind of ruined that. They're able to play some shows in Colorado, February 13th and 14th. I remember thinking about, I should go, but I'm a college student whose only money comes from, back then it was being an interdepartmental student worker, and then everything went remote, so how do I find money? So yeah, but that would have been fun. Hopefully they'll tour again soon. They're a great group. Anyways, on to vinyl. Pulled this. Krung Bin Universe Smiles Upon You. I've talked about this album before. Lovely, marvelous, stunning album from 2015. One of my favorite bands ever. Really bummed I didn't get to meet them when they were signing autographs at the end of their set with Chicano Batman. But that's just me. I wanted to stay in the front row, which was worth it. It was, a great positive experience. really connected me with new culture. But yeah, it's self-explanatory. Just go listen to it. Thai funk psychedelia. Jesus Christ, I'm making myself laugh here. Excuse the French, my fellow loots. But yeah, great, super fun. American Beauty, Grateful Dead, part of their two, like, magnum opus 1970s albums. I can't tell you what one's better or what one's my favorite. They both blend together. But this was the one that really got me hooked on the Dead. First it was 5877 and then American Beauty. And it's funny, I was like, man, Box of Rain and Truckin' are the only good songs on this album, and I just didn't listen to it at all. Now I listen to it, I'm like, all of these songs are great. Probably the only one that could be removed is Till the Morning Comes. That's just like a straight ahead pop rock song, with so many vocal harmonies. It's an archetype for sure, for bands like Sugar Candy Mountain to follow. But yeah, American Beauty, it's just, I don't know, it's like that Hendrix album. It's essential to the canon. It's essential and it's part of the canon of American music history and history in general. I think it's captures America at an interesting time and a band at an interesting time where they're moving forward with ideas and changing and becoming something else. We all change as humans, so why can't our music change? King Crimson, Red. Wow, I'm picking out all the influential albums this week. This is definitely one of my favorite Crim albums. It's up there. It's one of their most popular as well. I can play parts of One More Red Nightmare on guitar to flex. Other than that, it's a really hard song. Just the time signature. But yeah, loud, abrasive, crazy Crim. This is following their breakup. Breakup of more of David Cross is in the live band, but he still recorded on this album. In Sid Smith's biography, he writes, the rhythm section was getting louder and louder, and then Fripp was just, fripping over it. And David Cross just slowly got pushed out of the mix. And if you listen to any live shows from 1973, early 74, you can feel that and experience it, and it's kind of disheartening when you know the background to it, but if you're just listening to it for fun, you're like, wow, they're jamming. But I love me some David Cross violin. He's amazing. Check out Starless Starlight. It's based off the song, the essential prog rock song Starless. And that's basically his album, just reinterpreting that song into multiple themes and codas with Robert Fripp, and it's really beautiful. You'll probably be pushed away by the album art, but it's a beautiful album. Starless Starlight. But yeah, this is, an essential prog rock album. It has had look at that. You can think of a cover on this. 3.5 millimeters of plastic. But yeah, great album. I don't know much else I can say. It's just heavy. It's come to think about it, it's like it came out during when Black Sabbath was around, so I feel like they were definitely listening to it. It's got some very metal tendencies, but it takes that metal and makes it what we call prog rock, and it's absolutely marvelous. All right, the Matson 2 Agar IO. This is a concept album. Look at the back there. Twin brothers, Jonathan and Jared Matson. I was reading liner notes, and they call it twin synchronicity. It's kind of like synchronicity, but with twins. So Jared and Jonathan, guitarist / bass, drums, in the recording studio. Thomas Campbell, the producer, basically just instructed them to play, just giving reactions to the different vibes that they were feeling, and they just wanted to capture that twin atmosphere, and it was just entirely a live recording essentially. There's minimum overdubs on this album with different things like flute, keyboards, you know. But it's I call it a little bit more straight ahead jazz. It's kind of freak out jazz. And by freak out jazz, I mean Miles Davis, high energy, intense. Miles Davis, like 60s kind of onward for the 80s. It's spontaneous, it's combustible, it's intense, you know, you're freaking out. That's kind of the emotion that you get, you know. It makes you want to get up and do something crazy, like dance. So yeah, it's a great concept album. It's more of an EP due to the length, but it's on white vinyl, it's beautiful. Can't find it anywhere anymore, really. And then finally, Steely Dan Asia, one of the greatest albums all time, produced. I'm really just pulling out the hits lately because it's, I don't know, it's just been one of those days, one of those weeks. But yeah, highly produced, highly arranged, one of the most calculated albums of all time. Will we see anything like it again in the future? Yes, we see it all the time. Lee Pardini's new album coming out, Homebodies or whatever, should be similar to this with that high production. But yeah, great album. It kind of speaks for itself. You just gotta listen to it. It puts you in that dark New York vibe. I remember when I first started listening to this album, I just couldn't get over the atmosphere that it presents and puts you in. It puts you in this place that's very dark and romantic, but spooky and caustic, and you kind of want to get out, but you really like it. And I think those are some of the best places in the world, that make you slightly uncomfortable, but you feel comfortable at the same time. And when art does that, it's truly something amazing, if you ask me. Even looking at a piece, and if your stomach churns, it's wonderful. You shouldn't dislike it. It's kind of thing with like avant-garde and like free jazz does that to me as well, where I'm totally just, what are they doing? Like John Coltrane's Kulusi Mama, that's just on the cusp. But when that percussion kicks in and the chanting, I'm just kind of freaking out. And it's really powerful when music can put you in those places. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Last week of J-Term for us fellow PLU Lutes. Yeah, so I hope you can find some music that puts you in a really strange place, makes you nervous, makes your stomach churn, because that's a good thing. It's natural, it's human, and it's showing a reaction to things. So yeah, it's been 18 minutes so far, so have a wonderful day. See ya.